This place is called Austin Speed Shop. It's just a custom car shop, you know. We specialize in like old style craftsmanship and stuff that's timeless. Today we're making a riveted like World War II bomber style seat, and it's kind of like a style that's caught on pretty good in like 30s, 40s style roadsters, you know, to do it kind of all war surplus like parts, like someone would have done it in the 50s or late 40s. Actually, I saw in the paper in Austin they were having like a little, you know, vintage warplane demo, and you could fly in them, so I thought that would be a cool little thing to go over and check them out. Because Patrick and Bob don't really have that much experience riveting. They've seen it, but it's kind of cool to like, we just lucked out to like see the stuff the morning we're gonna start doing it.
We've come over here today to look at these airplanes. They're old World War II bombers. The B-17 in particular is kind of one of the more famous ones, and the seats we're making today, we're going to try to emulate those to an extent. So it's just a good opportunity to see them first.
Yeah, we're just looking today, looking for inspiration. Lots of rivets. I think I would have been more adjusted growing up in the 30s or 40s. I'd have been irrelevant. No one would have thought I was like, you know, a metalworking hero or something like that, because I'd just doing a job that thousands of people did. You know, women were doing while the men were away at war. Women were riveting planes together. There. What we have to do is make it in the shape of a seat. To do like this type of stuff where it's like riveted metal work, you know, with mechanical joints instead of welding, because like 99% of everything I do is welded. You know, weld it, cope it, and put a good fat weld on it so it won't break. But this is actually stronger. It's just more labor intensive and more tedious. The first thing we got to do is just figure out size, like how wide basically your ass is, and then what the lean angle is we want, and then we'll make a platform, and then we'll use a brake and a hole punch and just start riveting it together. It's not really that difficult. I think the most difficult thing is probably to come up with a design and an idea.
Seems like you need to start with the sides, right?
We'll make two identical ones of those, and then we'll fit the pieces to that. Because we could even like splay it out a little bit. It looks like it's like that a little bit. Like this looks like it's wider here than it is here. The basic essence of this stuff is like, I always kind of like to make stuff in as least amount of pieces as possible. And with something like a bomber seat, you want to use like twice the amount of pieces as possible.
Yeah.
If you want to take that other panel, the other 4-foot piece, and mark off some 2-inch strips. Take it and scribe a 1-inch center line, and then scribe it at 2-inch, and then cut on the 2-inch.
We're basically going to start the outer ribbing. Like all the panels will sit in this kind of ribs. So we're making those first. We're going to shear this whole sheet into 2-inch strips is what we'll use to make all the edges for the whole seat. So we just gotta scribe them and then cut them.
Patrick's coming out of his shell a little bit, and now he's like a rock star. And it's good working with Bob because Bob like knows his way around tools a lot. So I can tell him stuff to do. I don't have to show him so much. You know, that's nice. I like working with people like that because then we can like get it done in half the time because I say, okay, cut 1/2 inch off this and then fold it over, and he like knows what to do. So it's awesome.
Now we gotta go fold all these. This doesn't belong to us, it belongs to our neighbors, and they're nice enough to let us use it sometimes, but we don't have one wide enough. These will start to be the kind of framework of the seat, and we'll end up curling this up, we'll shrink it. So we're gonna make like the frame and then make all the pieces that go inside of it. All of the pieces we've done have been basically 90 degrees, folded square. This one's gonna be, about 20 degrees less. And it's gonna become the bottom of the seat, the bottom rib. It'll determine the angle of the back of the seat. So this one will be a little less. Yeah, look at that. Right on the money.
I'm just making a little preliminary measurements on this, one of these bottom rail pieces. So it's gonna, 14 inches of flat was our kind of distance of the depth. And then this side's gonna curl up for the front lip. And then I kind of 45'd a little bit so this will just break and be the back. It's pretty damn close though. Okay. It's more important that instead of these being like numerically the same, you know, measuring, it's more important that they're back to back the same so the chair, like the seat matches up.
That's good.
Well, I got these angles right, so like when you sit on it, you're kind of at the back, leaning back, and then like this template one, I'm gonna make the front of it kicked up so it kind of holds the foam or padding in. So I just need to shrink both of these front leading edge pieces, but I want to keep this 14 inches flat, so I'm just gonna shrink here forward and get it to curl up. like a little roadster like mine, the most dominant thing on the interior besides the steering wheel is the seats. You know, that's the second thing everybody looks at. You know, you look at the steering wheel and then you look at where you're sitting. It'll probably have a little pad, maybe a little leather pad, but you don't need much as long as it's kind of comfortable to your back. I mean, compared to some of the bikes I build, this thing will be like the lazy boy. Like every time you make, when we put a lot of beads in it,
It's smaller.
Yeah, it takes away material. So I would add a little bit, like maybe a 1/4 inch or so to your size.
We are going to cut out the back of the seat and kind of get a starting point. We need to mark 16 inches and we need to mark 8 inches. Maybe we should cut that and then find the center. Yeah, just like a man. Should we do the bottom? Or do you want to secure the back first?
Well, I don't think we're gonna, let's get all the pieces made and then we'll secure it. We'll hold it together with clecos.
Clecos, okay.
Yeah, because it never fails, something will be off and then you'll have to drill rivets out and start over, so.
Okay.
Making the bottom seat piece, I'm gonna just cut this out pretty rough with this, and then I'll go over to the brake and square it up a little bit.
There's a lot of nice cars at the roundup, but I never got a chance to walk around.
I know, I didn't really either.
Another excuse to fall down and I'll get back again. Sing I don't give a fuck, get out. I see you now, you cut yourself off.
Lone Star Roundup this year, I was in rehab last year, so I missed the roundup. I was on vacation for myself.
I tried to sleep the night and day, but I just can't seem to get ahead. Only to yourself now. I know you're on the way down for sure. So hold on to what you know. Only to yourself now.
But it was good to be back and go to the roundup and hang out at the car show and hang out at the booth. And like we sold a lot of t-shirts. You know, it's all the negative press I've got over the last 12 months, you know, not one negative thing. Everybody was happy to be there and, you know, signing stuff and taking pictures and shaking hands, and it was like kind of like almost like, okay, back to normal, you know, everything is cool now.
On the windows are leaking in mine. It's all the years I've been to try to hide. And they shit that you left behind. Lead you straight to your demise. So pull me down off the walls. I'm accelerated with a radio on. Plain city of the dead. I'm marking the time we had spent. You know, only to yourself now.
The first couple days is just getting a plan together, like, you know, visualizing what we want to make from a small picture pulled off the internet, and then measuring and figuring out the size and the profile, and then just start cutting metal and trying to, you know, stick it together and see what happens. Trying to hammer and get those shrink marks out so it's a little kind of smooth, so we can sand it and not have that big on the edge of it. Getting those side rails made and getting an actual life-size, you know, paper doll of it sitting up on the bench so you can stand back and look at it and like, ooh, that looks or that looks good. You know, that's important.
This is the back of the seat, and when we laid it out, we found the center point. The center line is gonna give me like a starting point to lay out any holes we put in here, any beads we roll. What I'm doing is starting to lay out what we're gonna do as far as holes and beads in the back of the seat. I'm just kind of quickly doing some things to try to get an idea if it's gonna work, and once I kind of dial it in a little bit as to what I want to do exactly, then I'll get more precise and lay it all out exactly where we're gonna put everything.
Those are gonna be little shorties.
Yeah, it's pretty little.
Oh yeah, that looks better.
I guess we could make the holes. This is the size of the hole. I think it's not deep enough for that one.
You know what I've done on stuff like that? Take it over and just fold this over, pop the hole and then flatten it back out.
That would be better than just drilling it?
Well, drilling sheet metal always sucks.
Yeah.
All you have to do is bend it 90. You don't have to, you know what I mean?
Just, yeah, like...
Yeah, and the metal has a memory. It'll go right back to where it was.
That kind of seems insane to me.
What's that?
That seems insane to me. But...
If you have a planishing hammer, you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. If I just use a drill, I wouldn't have to use a planishing hammer.
Have you ever seen a dent in an old car and you pop it, it's been there for
I understand.
50 years and it pops right out?
It's just hard to put it's hard to do that.
No, it's not. Watch, I'll show you. Don't be scared. Figure out how much you got.
Such like a porn idea.
Well, that's once you learn, like, start learning hammer work, man, you like learn fast that you gotta like really screw stuff up to get it to center punch that.
We'll straighten it out, I guess.
We'll do your center one first, then we can measure the flat.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then this will have like that edge on it.
Yeah, so it'll be all right.
We'd still be trying to find the right size drill bit.
I think it's awesome. I love breaking things just to fix it.
I never really took the time before with employees or stuff at West Coast Choppers. If a guy's it was just like, you get out and then next, you know? And I don't want to do the same cycle of things I did before, so I'm trying to like be a better communicator, which makes me a better partner and boss and manager type of person, you know, and see the good in people and like help them to blossom and flower their skills and personalities to the most it could possibly be. So, and also like helps myself, you know.
The circles will be like kind of dimple dyed, and they'll add both the beads we're gonna roll and the holes. They'll make it more rigid. They'll just make it stronger, and it's kind of ornate. It'll kind of there's a design.
I'm making a little pattern for these side pieces. I cut them really close, but I clamped them together and then sanded them together so they're both identical. So when we pin them on each side, so both sides of the seat are the same.
Tighten that up. No, tighten it so there's no play. There's no play. It's like move it against the.
This is Dykem like layout fluid, so it puts like a dye on it, and then when you scratch it, it leaves like a precise mark. So you know, because like if you use a Sharpie or a marker or even a pencil, the mark is kind of wide or narrow, you know, and like it's easy to be off with that. This will leave you like precise mark right where you want it.
How can we make that better? And how would we curve it if we were to curve it?
Well,
Should have did
it's
that
gonna
first.
should have probably did it before the holes.
Yeah,
I don't know. How does it look with?
it's gonna look pretty good in there.
It's gonna have a little natural curve to it anyway.
Yeah,
You see that? So that's actually not.
so maybe we're all right.
Yeah. When you put these beads, you're taking. Yeah. you have to take material from somewhere, and so it's killing the sides, but you know, it's kind of,
Yeah, got a nice little natural curve.
yeah. You know,
Alright.
it might be all right. We would think probably put this piece in last. Do the sides, then do the bottom, and then put this one in last. So we have a structure that's going to hold it solid.
Once it's all tight, it's pretty
Yeah.
even.
Well, we can put it in there and cleco it with the holes.
And then
And
see.
if it's still all wonky, then we can worry about it. You know, but right now I'd say leave it and see what happens,
Okay.
because I kind of like that little
Yeah.
splay on the back.
Okay. So I should I mark all the holes
Yeah, you can mark all those pieces
On
and
these
do all
pieces.
those.
and then
Yeah.
we'll transfer it to the bottom?
Yeah, and that's
the
the
back.
same thing, you know.
Yeah. Find the center.
Yeah, just half inch,
Okay.
and just, you know, you just scribe around this corner like that. It might dip down a little bit, but it'll still. Sometimes you have to just eyeball it. Maybe spray Dykem on it so you can see it.
Right now we've got the two, I guess we'll call them the main legs, and we have one of the sides laid out. We have the front or the back and the bottom, and now we're going to start laying out the holes for the rivets.
I left them with just poking holes and just trying to get the layout done for the side holes so we can start getting some clecos in the morning and getting the thing held together on its own. And that's kind of time consuming. I mean, it had more than enough holes to do to carry them through the end of the day, you know.
I don't have really much riveting experience at all like this, so it's all new to me, but I get it, so hopefully I can make my hands do what my mind thinks.
Actually, a lot of this is new for me. I don't usually do a whole lot of sheet metal work, especially not aluminum. So this is pretty crazy. I'm learning a lot. You can tell I'm kind of out of my comfort zone on this.
All right, well, I guess we could center punch all of these and then drill them out.
Oh, last night we had a little barbecue at my house. It was like the first time we had all the guys over, and I cooked for everyone, which is something I've done for years in California, you know, at my house on the beach. You know, everybody always came over for 4th of July and holidays, and, you know, I was always kind of the barbecutioner. Well, this is the first time I've done it here. You know, it's kind of nice because everybody really appreciated it and, like, dug it. Like, you know, like, I love, I don't know, taking care of everybody. Let me bead these and then we can start riveting it together. It's always better with these beading tools. Can't get in a hurry. Go slow, because never fails if you go too fast, and the slower you go, the more you can follow on the line and the better it comes out. You know, if you go too fast and never fails, you'll like move a little bit, and then it'll make like a wavy bead. Don't try to mark them all and do all of them.
Yeah, just get a couple.
No,
so
just do one, cleco it, clamp it, then do another one, then cleco it, clamp it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I just do them because it never fails. If you try to do them all, it
moves.
Well, and then when you rivet it, it kind of stretches a little bit so the holes will jump. So it's, you know, if you have a cleco in it, then a rivet will go in it. Always center punch it too. Don't try to mark it, or I mean, sometimes you just can't get a center punch in just because of a tight angle or something like that. One.
All right, so just go every hole with the cleco?
Yeah, just clamp it and then constantly check and make sure you know you're flush against there. Check all your gaps and keep clamping it, drill, you know, pop the hole in it.
All right. I build a lot of chassis and I've done a lot of sheet metal welding, chopping tops and that kind of stuff, but I rarely work with aluminum and I've never done any riveting like this, so I'm way out of my element. I feel like a caveman. I am transferring all the holes for these main rails into the bottom. This is the seat bottom. So I'm doing one at a time. I've been drilling them and punching them and then drilling them out, and then I cleco them so I can make sure they're all going to be in line, because it has a tendency to like stretch or move around. So this is a cleco pliers, and these are clecos, and basically they're awesome. They're just a little spring, and you push it in there, and you could use a screw or something if you didn't have this, but it just makes it real quick. If you have a hole, you can just put it right through there and let it get a spring will hold it in place, so you can, it's kind of like a temporary rivet. It's pretty tedious. But all those airplanes that we looked at, I mean, there's like thousands of rivets in those things. Like they would have guys like in those wings holding the buck, and so they'd be like, and you can't even see each other. Like it's pretty crazy what they went through to make all that stuff. It's amazing, actually.
Do you guys want to rivet something real quick, and I'll show you? So always keep your pieces together as much as possible, and don't have two open holes. Have if you can,
cleco.
If there's enough room, have a cleco. Then
Okay.
And then my favorite one is this one, because I can kind of grip it and get it. And you just you don't want to push. You just want to let the hammer do the work, and let the make sure this side's held against there. And you don't need to, I just hold them firm, but let the tool do the work. And a lot of guys will clamp this in a vise and then beat down on it, but then you're just giving it too much power, and it just makes for obliterating the rivets. You know, it's kind of all you want. You know, is that.
Just let it.
That one's a little too much. This one's perfect. Just like kind of mushroom it over and get it to lock. And I use, you know, hold it, but use like my thumb and fingers as like outriggers to brace it on the panel. You know, the seat will be stationary too. This little piece is a little tough because it's just floating. Keep this at 90. There you go. Hear it change? A little bit too much, but that looks good.
Too much to one side.
That looks good.
Yeah, that looks good.
You can hear it change, hear that it turns tinny. Perfect. You're hired, Patrick, not so much. It's a neat process to have because sometimes when you weld something, it puts it under a lot of heat concentration, and so it's prone to like cracking or breaking. But riveting, you know, you look at those huge airplanes that fly over all day, every day, they're all riveted together and they almost never break.
All right, so we've got all the holes punched into the bottom of the seat, and now we're going to cleco the sides on and start riveting. So I guess this is, it's happening. It's real now. It's on there. Let's see how the other side goes. Yeah. Yeah, the riveting is the easy part, really. It's setting it up for the rivets that takes the time. I kind of think the back should go next and then the sides, because the sides will sit over those. But I don't know, we'll just have to look at it. Cool.
Yeah, the riveting, I was actually super scared about the riveting with the power hammer, or the air hammer, just because those things can be kind of intimidating. And I was scared I was just going to slip off this and just like pull the trigger and run across the whole panel with it and ruin it, but that didn't happen, so that's good. I would have been pissed.
Next, I think we'll kind of mock it up again and come figure out what's next. Seems like we should do the back first. We can show it to Jesse and see what he says. We'll take it from there.
Sounds good.
So anyway, if Jesse doesn't work out, then we'll just figure out what to do and we'll just do it, and he'll be like, oh, cool. Or he'll be like, what the get out of here.
looks good.
Yeah.
Did that piece hold in the back?
Well, what's happening, we got the bottom riveted in.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about doing the sides or the back next. And so I just clamped it all together. And what it's wanting to do is pull, because of this arch, it's pulling the sides in, which is pushing these in.
Yeah, but once we put that beaded thing on it, it'll straighten
pull
that
it
up.
out?
Yeah, that'll stiffen that up. And then, you know, they're not like concrete, so we'll be able to.
So just, yeah. I just
Finagle
didn't
it.
want to like
No.
kind of mop into a corner.
Yeah, I would do the sides first.
Yeah,
And then
but-
plus, you know, you're not getting all the strength because look at, that's not fully holding because this is pulling this in. So
Yeah.
once that's all secure.
Okay.
But how did you guys do riveting? Cool?
I think so, yeah. There's one that I want to redo, but the rest of them are good.
You get it now?
Yeah. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, and it's
awesome.
effing strong, man.
We're going to trim and fit the sides to get those right where they should be, and then we'll transfer all the holes and start riveting those in, and then we'll put the back in, and hopefully by the more we rivet, the stronger it'll get, and it'll kind of straighten itself out a little bit. You know, like you said, if we put them in straight, they'll stay that way, and hopefully...
Yeah, if we rivet that back in without the sides and it tweaks, the sides
They're
aren't
just
strong
gonna
enough
pull.
to make it happen, to hold it, you know, they'll just tweak right with it.
Well, stand me up, girl, I wanna swing. Don't keep me hanging while you do your thing. This ain't some teenage romance thing. You gotta pick.
Right now I'm just transferring the holes like we did for the bottom side. I'm just gonna do it on the side pieces while Bob's figuring out the edge piece.
I take a slow boat to China, it's my way to carry.
What we're gonna do is I took one of those folded pieces and I just kept bending it over, and I bent it over onto the eighth, or the same aluminum that we're using on the seat, and then I was able to stretch the curve, and I was having trouble stretching it. Like when it's, you know, you're stretching it, you're making it pull apart, and it was wanting to tear. So I finally got it so it would stretch without tearing, and I got the right curve. So now I've got this much. Now I just have to shrink these sides, and then it's going to be a really nice edge, and we'll just rivet it on there, and should be awesome.
This one is just a kind of a whole lot more, like, I need a lot of direction on this kind because I've never done anything like this before. Like I said before, I've done rivets, but never anything like quite this labor intensive. The riveting's pretty cool. You can apply that to pretty much anything. So that's a good thing to know how to do. And then the rest of the stuff, like rolling beads, that's good to know how to do. I already knew how to do that, but it's good for the people that this is going to be their first time making something like this. This has a lot of different techniques of using metal fab and stuff like that. This has almost, well, not all of them, but it has a pretty good amount of them.
All right, so I just bent some more pieces for these side rails, and I think I finally have it. It's been a bunch of tries of throwing things and starting over and thinking I get it and being all excited and then being let down. So now I'm just kind of numb to it all, and I just want to get it done. So hopefully I've learned enough from all of my mistakes to accomplish that. See, there it went. All right. See, all right, this is where you get. I suppose we should shape these where we want them, and then I could make these fit, and I could cut them to go with the side rails. When we did this, I was originally going to pound this over, so it just slid over the top. But when we mocked it up, we just thought it looked cool this way, so that's what we decided to go with. So now
I've shrunk and stretched this piece to fit this piece really tightly. So now I'm gonna trim the edges and then I'll get them pretty close, but these will go on probably last or close to last. Yeah, they're pretty much done. So the big problem is solved. Now it's just a bunch of rivets. Right now, Patrick is making the little support, the middle support to tie in the bottom and the back. I'm gonna start making this rail for the top, kind of the same concept as on the sides, but it has to bow in, so I'll have to figure that out. Yeah, this is pretty easy compared to the like S shape for the sides. So this is just shrinking. The other one was shrinking and stretching. So. It's we're on the home stretch. There's really not much left to make. It's just putting it together.
A lot of people want to know how to do this and know how to rivet stuff, but I've done it so much that like I kind of know exactly what it's going to look like. So it'll be neat looking and mechanical looking, but I don't know. It's not crazy difficult. It's not, I don't think it's really super hard. It's just a lot of steps in the process with something like this. So that's the hard part about it.
That's where we ended up.
That's cool.
Yeah, it looks good, huh?
Yeah, it looks finished.
Yeah.
That's what I think the biggest thing is to make it look finished.
Yeah. There was a few times I was like, why isn't he here? Like, what are we doing? I don't know how to do this. Why?
Well, you know what? You just figured it out, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's how it's done. Well, why don't you guys just cleco it and I'll finish riveting it?
Okay.
I think they did a good job, and I like the fact that they figured it out on their own, you know, because I think that'll take them a lot farther than me just telling them what to do. You know, all that pile of stuff they didn't like or didn't like the way it turned out, they learned from every single one of those. Good job, guys. We're at my house, at home, in my little shop here. I gotta rivet these sides that Bob made on. I gotta pop all the holes and rivet them. And then rivet this reinforcement thing. And all, other than that, it's done. I think it's just the key to it is just not force it. You know, I'm just like kind of locking my arms and locking the tools in place so they don't bounce all over, but I'm not powering it, you know. That's such a little tiny piece of aluminum that just let the tool do the work. I always take my drill bit and I put a little piece of tape on it, just the width of some 3/4 inch masking tape, and wrap it so it's pretty thick on there. So when I'm drilling the hole, it hits the tape and stops and doesn't run the chuck into the piece. Because if you're riveting something polished, that's just gonna put a big donut, right, and a big scratch right where you were getting ready to rivet. So then you'll have to stop and repolish it and all that. So the best thing to do is just do one at a time and put a cleco in it, you know. The impulse is to like, okay, drill them all and then put the clecos in, but it never fails, you know. Stuff will move around just a little bit and then your holes won't line up and you'll end up welding up holes and having to re-drill them and re-cleco them if you try to get greedy. So, you know, this stuff takes time, and that's what makes it cool, that it's not all like readily store-bought. There's a good feeling when you get a good rivet and you can feel it, like it's only moving like maybe not even a 1/16 of an inch, but when you feel it like just, and you could feel the metal tighten up and everything squeeze together, that's like the sweet spot. Cool. Our twist is totally gone, so now there's no wobble in it and it sits flat and it's strong. So, you know, so now putting our side and top and bottom pieces, now it's only going to make them stronger. It's kind of the way this whole type of fabrication works. It's not any one thing that makes it strong, it's everything working together as a unit, you know. Yeah, I mean, the thing's like nothing's going anywhere now. Gradually, I think society is taking the craftsmanship out of stuff more and more. There's less and less guys that are vital to make stuff happen. And so to keep this kind of technology going, you know, that's important. This thing kind of doesn't fit right, and the piece was kind of cut undersized, and so it's going to have a big gap. It's not going to fit very well. I said just wire edge it. I know how to do that. I'm going to wire edge, so I need a 1/2 inch of material. So this line is that's the actual edge of the metal. So the bead is going to need a 1/2 inch of material to roll over the wire. So I added a 1/2 inch to our line. It's kind of nice just to cut it to the shape you want and then bead it and then be done with it. Sometimes you can have all this fancy tools and I'm still better at it just by doing it the way I've always done it. I even remember the dude that taught me this Australian dude named Andy Palmer. I liked him because he was fast metal guy. That guy, he's a but he was good. I'm gonna bead blast this, give it like kind of an old look. Looks kind of cool, blasted. Bob kind of made this geometric, you know, where it kind of bow, bow. I think I might correct it and just go out around it and like make it a swoop, you know? Actually, that looks bitchin' straightening that line out, because then it looks more like kind of purpose built. That looked like crap 30 minutes ago, huh? I mean, we could keep going and just keep adding reinforcements and rivets for days. Feel that now, man. That thing's like solid. It just looks cool. Aesthetically, it's way more complicated looking because it's just got all these little dots on it and they're all symmetrical, and it's just a cool look. And I think people are kind of interested in that type of work, but don't necessarily know how to do like aircraft style riveting. So we're trying to give them like the Cliff Notes version of how to make something cool. And you don't have to make a seat, you could make anything. You could make a transmission tunnel cover, or a dash, or a fuel tank, or, you know, motorcycle parts or whatever. All the process is all the same. All the little tips and tricks for riveting is the same. It's just where you want to point it. So don't look at just the seat and think, oh, this is only how to make a seat. No, because you could make an infinite number of things with this same process.
Give me the man.